It's always good. You know, like those Netflix documentaries where they're like miking up and sitting down. There's like dramatic music.
Yeah,
just like.
I always wondered.
All right, and just here?
Just
into the camera or to you? Just, okay.
No, camera 1, stay on camera 1.
Okay.
Don't shift your eyes.
So just here?
No, the other one. So
down,
your other leg.
Down here?
Your other,
This way you want?
your other leg.
What's a camera? G'day everyone, I'm Jazza, and I have a confession to make. I am part of the NFT world. I've made an NFT, sort of. I own an NFT that I didn't ask for. And when all this NFT stuff started, I wanted them to work. I wanted them to be great. And part of me still wants NFTs to succeed. Confession aside, NFTs have become something that I personally don't like and never would have wanted to be a part of. And the potential they had to be something cool in the art world has kind of, in my opinion, turned into something sour and much different. Later in this video, I'll explain how or why I made an NFT, why I got one and what it is, and where I currently stand in my opinion on NFTs, which has evolved over time. Now, I've said NFT a lot, and for those of you who don't know what an NFT is, it's been explained many times in many videos, and there'll be resources I'll link to in the description. But if you already know, you can click the time code here and just skip ahead. But if you're uninitiated, here's the quick fire summary of an NFT. You might have heard the word NFT before, and you might have seen news and sensational stories about people who got fabulously rich off extraordinary prices from having sold NFTs. And of course, everything blows it out to be a crazy internet fad, which, I mean, it's sort of has become. Separate to NFTs, most people, of course, have heard of blockchain technology. This is things like Ethereum or, more notably, Bitcoin. Cryptocurrency and crypto in general is based on the concept of a blockchain. Blockchains are a sort of distributed ledger or a record of digital trades and transactions. The idea and purpose behind blockchain technology, especially when it comes to banking, is that rather than having a centralized bank, the records of the ledger is sort of everyone's responsibility. So rather than an institution like a bank having a record of the money you have and the transactions you've made, everyone has a record of everyone's transactions and accounts, not necessarily in the person's name, but with a blockchain identity. And anyone whose record differs from everyone else's record can't be verified. Therefore, fraud is exceptionally hard, at least in the traditional sense of just falsifying amounts in an account. Now, the reason it's worth knowing about that when it comes to NFTs is because NFTs is basically a platform of selling and distributing items that are digital that are verifiable on the blockchain, therefore creating a scarcity. Because if one JPEG or digital file has a blockchain identifier, that is the only file that can be verified as that original. And this is where when I first heard about NFTs, fell in love, because I do love the idea of a digital scarcity, of a real, genuine way of basically having a certificate of authenticity for a digital piece of art or animation or video or whatever it is that can be verified as the thing that was sold by the creator and that there is only this copy or a limited number of owned items of. So in summary, an NFT is basically cryptocurrency, but the currency being exchanged are digital items. And in this case, we're talking about art. NFTs were meant to be the chosen one for digital artists. Essentially, the idea that you could, as a digital artist, now create scarcity and demand around your art opens up a market that could, in theory, really build upon digital creativity. However, alongside that notion, the floodgates have opened to people who trade in cryptocurrency and also others who fraudulently use and sell crypto methods of selling NFTs to steal artworks and get money. In short, the idea of NFTs is actually great, asterisk, we'll get to that, but the reality has turned it into much more of a money-grubbing fest and rewarded people with reach and people who are deceptive or quick much more than it's rewarded artists by a long stretch. And this is the video I've wanted to make for a long time, talking about NFTs, because I've been interested in NFTs, I've wanted to talk about them, my opinion has evolved, I've never had a chance to put it all in one place, and I've also never had a congealed final opinion. And I just gotta give you what I got, and we can keep this conversation going. Please let me know in the comments what you think about some of the stuff I say, your own experience or opinions on NFTs. And we can keep that conversation going, because it seems to me that this is gonna be something that will continue to evolve. So I'm gonna start off with my personal, insular, small experience of learning about NFTs and how my opinion has shaped. Starts off a number of years ago, I was actually reached out to by 2 content creators who are large content creators. So these are people with millions of subscribers, they're savvy business people, and both of them suggested to me that I get into NFTs. At this stage, I hadn't heard of them before, but I think this was around the stage where there was a lot of auctions happening and a lot of money going from traditional art market to these NFT sales. And it was flattering that fellow content creators, where they didn't see this as a field they would excel in or have interest in or be able to create something for, came to me and suggested that this might be my thing. And indeed, it might have been if I felt it was right. And that was my caveat, because when someone says, hey, you could make a lot of money doing this, I don't think, ooh, money, money, money. I think, what is this? And does it provide value? So I first set about learning about NFTs. And one of the first things I learned, especially thanks to a video by 1000, is the impact of NFTs, or the minting of NFTs, on the environment. Now, the TLDR of what I mean by that is the blockchain technology that NFTs are powered by requires computing power. And even things like blockchain and Ethereum, just as currency blockchains, require a lot of computing power all over the world, all of which uses energy. All of that energy consumed impacts our environment. And NFTs, as it turns out, even compared to Bitcoin, consume a vast amount of energy comparably. But at this point, it seemed like that was the only thing wrong with it, which, it was a big thing wrong with it. It's not good. But if I could solve that problem, if I could figure out a solution that would enable me to participate in what I was seeing as this digital frontier of scarcity and creativity, I was excited. Like, I've bought art from various art auctions and artists, and I can see the value emotionally, psychologically, and culturally in owning a piece. And I loved the idea of being able to trade, buy, and sell pieces of art that meant something to me and could mean something to people. And it was at this stage that I started to investigate what I could do to mitigate the carbon issue of minting NFTs. I got very excited about this idea of selling my carbon footprint as NFT trading cards. The idea was that if I created NFTs whose sole purpose was to use their profits and put it in the real world, creating solar solutions or battery powered storage for power, so that I could actually take my entire studio and home off of the grid, I could have a net positive on climate and the environment rather than a negative that might be produced through the NFTs, and participate in a marketplace I was very excited by. And I was really exploring this. I met with several solar installers to get quotes on full kits that would completely take us off the grid, not only for the present, but into the foreseeable future. Obviously, these solutions would be hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I had a plan, a clever little plan. I was gonna make an ostentatious video trying to sell my carbon footprint to Elon Musk. Like, surely he'd go for that. If I tweet him and if everyone retweeted and Elon Musk, that's pittance to him, and it would be a fun ostentation. Oh, I could sell like individual carbon footprint trading cards as I was thinking of them. Like, I was workshopping these ideas of joining in the NFT world by trying to set an example of how we could offset the negative by building into a bigger positive. But it never quite eventuated. I think something just sat wrong with me. I tried to excitedly workshop this idea on Twitter, and I got a little bit of back and forth with different people who were sharing some things about fraud and other means of deception that NFTs were used for. So in the end, I just sort of drifted away from doing this initial idea simply because I couldn't have full confidence in it being something that I might not regret later. And in fact, instead, to fund the transition to the new studio and build this all up, as many of you may remember, I actually auctioned off physical, real, and genuinely scarce items that were my own original artworks. We sold hundreds of my own original pieces, sculptures, artworks from videos, artworks from my personal collection. I literally sold all of my art to fund my dreams of heading into the future. And it was at this time that I could have leaned into this NFT thing to try and get quick cash, or even big cash as was being thrown around at that time, but I decided against it because something felt off. Now, at the time, there were other people in the art community that started to jump into NFTs as well. ZHC produced a bunch of NFTs that sold for, good amount of money. And I'm also peripherally aware that Vex is also another YouTube artist that's done a lot of NFT work. But it was also around this time, as artists were making lots of money, that other people started to come in to try and make lots of money too, who weren't necessarily artists, Because money. People like Logan Paul and Gary Vee, also people with large amounts of reach on YouTube, started to jump on that NFT bandwagon and make a lot of money, a lot more money than the common artist who was starting to jump into the NFT world. And as people more further afield started to jump into NFTs, companies started to really clue into the idea that, ooh, NFT is the new hot thing, it's the tech thing. So you start to see a lot of tech companies jump in and do different NFT projects. And in fact, one of the companies that I was working with made, as part of a project we were doing together, an NFT gallery that they wanted me to make an NFT for. And this is why I sort of accidentally made an NFT, because I wanted to participate in this project with the sponsor, not necessarily the gallery, but that was a peripheral piece of it. So I did mint an NFT that I made sure they knew I would never sell, and that I also made sure was minted with the minimal carbon impact. And by minting only one NFT and never selling it, and also based on the vendors you use and how you mint it, I'm confident that even though I have made an NFT, I'm never gonna sell it and its impact is negligible. But as an example of how NFTs as a concept are very exciting to people at this time. It was also soon after this period of time that a video on YouTube came out called Line Goes Up, which some of you may have seen. If you haven't seen it, it's a longer video, but it's a great deep dive into the evolution of NFTs. It'll be much more comprehensive than my video here, which is much more centered around my enclosed experience in the YouTube art community. But if you're interested in the deep dive of the evolution and the genuine impacts, mainly negative, of NFTs and how that all unfolds, I highly recommend it. Go check it out, links in the description. It's really quite a damning video as far as NFTs are concerned. I want to start from a different perspective right now, that of creative artists, people that NFTs are supposed to be for, at least from the distribution and selling standpoint. Now, the internet as a whole is the most amazing thing for digital artists today. It makes art almost free to distribute. I can pull up Google Images and look for full color reproductions of just about anything Picasso or Michelangelo ever painted. And if I create art, I can send it all over the world instantly. In the same way the internet has democratized things like the music industry and video production, art is no different. Where artists used to have to be a part of the clique or a club, or to get visibility or sell their work or get any sort of reputation, you had to have your foot in a door. Through the internet, you don't. But it also makes digital art almost impossible to get paid for. I've been there. Art can be reproduced almost for free, and that means people just aren't really willing or used to paying for it. With a few more clicks of a button and a bit less concern for legality, you can just download almost any movie, song, or of course artwork. And maybe those classics aren't the same in the JPEG or MP3 format, but there's a difference between seeing the Sistine Chapel in real life and looking at a JPEG of it. But with digital art, the copy and the original are exactly the same. There's no difference. The files are the same. The entire bit structure behind the hood of how that file exists. If you have that JPEG on your computer and 500 people have that JPEG on your computer and they're copied from the same file, everyone has the same file, meaning there's no scarcity. In the past, artists have sold their work, the actual work. Like I did with the auction to fund the making of this studio, there is a clear, understood value. People will pay as much as they feel your work is valued at, and it's more valuable because there's one of them. But digitally, where copies are free and indistinguishable from originals, everyone has the technology to copy and paste. So at the end of the day, we want artists to get paid. I know that sounds uncool. Well, unless you're an artist, which is probably a lot of people watching this. And as many people who have come to me in the past for commissions have sort of argued back that I really should just be doing it because I enjoy it. The reality is, if artists aren't rewarded, then making art becomes something only the very privileged can engage in. And if less artists get financially rewarded for their work, we hear less diverse artistic voices, and more people are excluded from the art world because they don't have the money or time to pursue their passion. Artists should not starve, they should be rewarded. Imagine having gone through the last 2 or 3 centuries without drama, music, comedy, and creativity. We need a way to reward creators. So why wasn't it NFTs? Because it could have been? Question mark, asterisk. Well, let's dig into the dirty stuff. And this is where I'm basically going to be summarizing a lot of the points that were presented much more thoughtfully and over a longer period of time in the Line Goes Up video. But let's just throw all the messy stuff in there all at once for you to enjoy. Just seems like anything related to cryptocurrency encourages the worst kinds of behavior, leading to the NFT marketplace becoming a bit of a hellish mess. There are loads of artists who engage in NFTs sincerely, producing lovely work and trying to use NFT markets to sell it. I was interested in joining in that in the early stages. But that's not what the NFT market has become. The NFT trading space is not dominated by cool, original, insightful works of art. It's dominated by procedurally generated pieces designed to be churned out, marketed, and flipped for profit. This is a CryptoPunk. Most of you will have seen it before, but it's just worth reminding ourselves that it sold for $7 million. It's currently on sale for $55 million. There are 10,000 CryptoPunks. This one sold for $23 million. You know what else sold for $23 million? This, and this, and this. I don't know what I'm pointing at, but we're in post-production. We're gonna find expensive things and show you what that JPEG could have bought. This and that. Oh, could have snapped up a bargain. $23 million. Give me a break. Then we have, of course, the bored apes and the pudgy penguins. Cha-ching. Money has flooded into NFTs and turned it into a playground for speculation and scamming. It's become much less a place for digital artists to sell original works and much more a place for people who are much more at home in Wall Street and on the cryptocurrency platforms. If you thought the traditional art market was bad, with pieces selling for hundreds of millions of dollars, in a lot of cases probably to, launder money, this is that, and this is worse. To me, it seems like most of this isn't art investment or creativity. It's companies, and some of them pretty shady and mysterious, churning out speculative products, hoping that marketing and hype will lead to profits for no clear reason. The real art of making money off NFTs is in the hype. And like with any product, if you can get a celebrity to endorse or purchase it, and that can be visible to people, you're gonna sell more of it, right? Or at least 4 more, like bathwater. And the more valued your product is, the more people might buy or pay for them. And then as the hype builds and the price tag rises and people flex, that beautiful, horrible whirlwind of speculative price rising begins. The NFT marketplace is now much more about algorithmic generation of artworks and celebrities marketing so much more than it is about art. In short, taking all that stuff together, you've got a system that seems to reward financial speculation, hype building abilities, and celebrity much more than it's about supporting art and artists. It doesn't provide the purchasers with any artworks, and it doesn't create stable and reliable ways for artists to make money and be rewarded from their hard work. In fact, quite the opposite, because now as an artist, if you enter the NFT landscape, you're competing against all that. And a few of the unknown artists that are held up as these archetypes of what the possibilities are, who made lots of money, generally made it in the earlier days of the landscape, and only a few of them really have. Otherwise, it's come down to people who have an audience they can advertise their product to. And then we have the problem of, let's say you're a digital artist and you don't enter the NFT landscape. Well, maybe you already have without knowing. See, the NFT marketplace has led to some of the most outrageous copyright scams I've ever heard of. People forging NFTs of the beloved artist Quinny was just the beginning of a trend. And in fact, instead of providing an opportunity for hardworking digital artists, it turns out that the NFT landscape seems to provide an opportunity for scammers to steal the hard work of digital artists, and it's yet another way that hardworking digital artists get ripped off in the end. Meanwhile, a small handful of people are getting very rich and consolidating their wealth. Want to guess how many of those people are actually artists? I'm going to guess proportionately low. Bored Ape Yacht Club have bought out their biggest rival, CryptoPunks. Logan Paul is minting NFTs, and the idea that this has anything to do with helping artists seems to be talked about less and less, because NFTs have become the fad that they rose to prominence from. Just a sort of more twisted and gross and speculative version of it. Now, I mentioned at the start of this video, I actually own an NFT. There it is. This is my NFT. I don't know what it is. I didn't pay for it. It was actually a weird and thoughtful gift from YouTube. This year they sent a couple of things, but this was the main gift, an NFT. I feel really weird and conflicted about this in a number of ways. First of all, I didn't ask for it, and it was also while I was going through my, are NFTs good or bad? And then I got an NFT and I'm like, oh, I have one. I'm a monster. But it also struck me as weirdly cool. Like, not that I actually care about the artwork all that much or would have bought it, but it's mine. It's minted. I've got a code for it, so this is mine. And it's moving. Look at it, it's like wobbly. And this to me highlighted the interesting juxtapositions of NFTs. I don't think a lot of work went into this. I don't reckon a lot of work went into someone knowing how to produce this, but I think whoever produced it has produced a lot at this point because it looks, and I would say almost certainly is, algorithmically generated. But aside from that, it also strikes me how effective it is from an emotional standpoint to know that something is scarce and mine. It's purely psychological, it's purely emotional. But that is actually, I think, from a human standpoint, valuable. But if you genuinely believe it to be valuable and true and it makes you feel wonderful, it might as well be an original Picasso. If this is my special NFT and it's mine and it makes me feel good, I mean, that's kind of cool. I didn't ask for it, but thanks, YouTube. And if you're a fellow artist watching this video, I hope it's not too depressing for you. But it is a little bit of a depressing example of how something that could have been really cool for our community and for artists as a whole has soured into something that crypto chasers have really taken a hold of and turned into something else. In conclusion, I am inconclusive. No, look, I think the conclusion basically is I loved the idea of NFTs. I really did. And I really wanted to find a way to participate because I love things that are innovative. I'm interested in blockchain technology. I just think there were a few yucky things that made me go, nah. And then it got yuckier and yuckier. And now I'm like, nah. And that's a shame because it could have been really cool. TLDR, NFTs, nah. Thanks for watching this video. This is very different to my usual content. I just wanted to get a lot of that stuff off my chest. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button and subscribe because I'm a content creator and I do the things. And if I do the things, you will do the things that mean other people watch my things and they get out there. So thank you for watching and let's Vsauce out. G'day everyone. Over the next few weeks, you're just gonna see this a couple of times because there is one last chance. For what, you say? To get some of my classic merch before it disappears forever. Whether you're obnoxious but consistent or a kinesthetic learner or an adult like me, you can get any of my classic merch for 10% off before it disappears forever. We're redoing our whole merch line. There's some really exciting stuff to come that I can't wait to show you. But until then, I wanted to make sure everyone has the opportunity to get some of these timeless Jazza channel classics before they go. The link's in the description. The discount code is last chance. It'll give you 10% off of everything in my shop, and of course anything you get is a huge support to the channel and it is your last chance to get it. Go check it out. It's a huge support to the channel and I can't wait to show you some exciting stuff we have in store. But in the meantime, I just wanted to let you know because they're walking out the door.